you ever asked an AI a simple question, like the current score of a game, and it gives you an answer from 6 months ago? Or you watch it try to do basic math and it just fumbles? Well, there's a reason for that. Most AI models are like a brilliant book that was printed last year. Super smart, but totally cut off from the real live world. Today, we're going to break down the amazing solution that's changing all of that. It's called ReAct.
So here's our roadmap. First, we're going to really dig into why AIs get stuck with old info. Then I'll introduce you to ReAct, this new way of thinking and acting. We'll break down its core engine, this thought, action, observation loop. After that, you'll see some pretty mind-blowing before and afters. And to wrap it all up, I'm going to give you a simple playbook so you can start using this stuff yourself.
All right, let's start at the beginning. The fundamental roadblock for so many large language models. It's this static knowledge problem. It's the reason why an AI can write a beautiful poem but can't tell you if it's raining outside right now.
To make this really concrete, just think about this question. You would think a supercomputer brain could handle a basic interest calculation, no problem, right? But the issue isn't really the math itself, it's the process. A standard AI can't just decide to open up a calculator app and punch in the numbers. It has to try and do it all in its head. And this right here shows you the night and day difference. On the left, the standard model, it tries its best to reason through the math, but it's basically guessing and rounding. The result? It's close, but it's not quite right. But look at the right side. The ReAct-powered model is different. It thinks, hey, this is a math problem, and it takes an action. It uses a calculator tool. It then gets an observation back with a precise, verified answer, right down to the penny. So the whole game is about bridging that gap. The gap between just knowing things and actually doing things. This is where ReAct comes in, and it's a huge shift. It's the moment the AI stops being just a static library of old information and becomes a proactive agent that can operate in the real world. And the name says it all, really. ReAct stands for reasoning plus acting. It's a way of prompting that lets the model think through a problem, take a real action with an external tool, like searching the web or calling an API, and then, crucially, it observes the result to figure out what to do next. It's this constant, self-correcting cycle. And this isn't just a cool theory. It delivers big time. The original research paper that introduced ReAct back in 2022 found it boosted performance by up to 34% on tasks that needed to interact with the world. I mean, that's not a small improvement. That is a massive leap forward in capability. What's really wild to me is just how fast this all happened. The idea of AIs using tools was floating around, but when that ReAct paper dropped in late 2022, it was like a lightning strike. By the very next year, it was already the engine powering these huge agent frameworks, which are basically the toolkits for building these smarter AIs. And now, it's just becoming the default for any serious AI that needs to get things done. Okay, so let's get under the hood a little bit. We're going to deconstruct this simple but super powerful loop that makes this all possible. The thought, action, observation cycle. It all comes down to these 3 steps, just repeated over and over again. First, the AI has a thought. It makes a plan. Second, it takes an action based on that plan. And third, it observes what happened, and that result feeds right into its next thought. Simple, right? But so powerful. So the thought is basically the AI's internal monologue. It's the model thinking out loud, mapping out its strategy. It might think, okay, the user wants to know about flight prices. The first thing I should do is a web search. This is where the actual planning happens. Then comes the action. This is the real magic. This is where the model breaks out of its box and actually interacts with the outside world. It might use a search tool or a calculator or even go and pull information from a database. This is the doing part of the equation. And finally, the observation. This is the feedback. It's the reality check. It's the results of that search or the number from the calculator. This new piece of information is absolutely critical because it tells the AI whether its plan is working and what its next thought should be. It's what makes the whole process smart. This table is just a perfect illustration of that loop. The AI starts with a thought, I need to find flight prices. So it takes an action. It searches. It gets back an observation. Okay, the average flight is $9.50. That new info sparks the next thought. All right, flight's $9.50, now I need hotels, which leads to another action, another observation, and on it goes. Each cycle gets it one step closer to solving the entire problem. All right, enough with the theory. Seeing is believing, right? Let's look at some real-world examples that show just how dramatic the difference is between a standard prompt and a ReAct-powered one.
Okay, look at this. Ask a regular AI about a new version of some software, and you get, well, a pretty generic, vague answer based on whatever it was trained on ages ago. But on the right, the React model becomes a little research assistant. It actively searches for the official release nodes, it digs up specific technical details, and it even checks to see what real developers are saying. The answer isn't just correct, it's current, detailed, and way more useful.
And here's another great one, fact-checking. Ask a simple question. You might get a simple, one-sided answer. But with ReAct, the AI turns into a proper fact-checker. It doesn't just give you one opinion. It goes out and searches for performance benchmarks, it cross-references different sources, and it comes back with a smart, nuanced answer that actually reflects reality. It's the difference between an opinion and real analysis.
Okay, so you get it. You've seen what React is and why it's such a game changer. So now for the best part, how you can actually use it. This is your practical guide to putting React into action. The first thing you've got to ask is, when should I even bother with this? And that's a great question, because while React is incredibly powerful, it's not the right tool for every single job. Think of this as your cheat sheet. React is an absolute rock star for anything that needs up-to-the-minute info, involves multiple complex steps, or needs tools like a calculator. But for simple questions or just creative writing, or times when you need an answer right now, a standard prompt is probably better. React takes a little more time to think, so you use it when being right and current is more important than being fast. If you take nothing else away from this, remember these 3 rules. First, you have to tell the model exactly what tools it has. It can't use a calculator if it doesn't know it's there. Second, set a limit on how many cycles it can run. This stops it from getting stuck in a loop forever. And third, be super specific. Find info is a terrible instruction. Search for the official Python 3.12 release notes is a perfect one. And at the end of the day, this quote really nails it. This whole thing is about transforming AI from a static, know-it-all encyclopedia into an interactive partner that can help you solve problems in the real world right now. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Now that we have AI that can not only reason, but can actually act, what's the first big, messy, real-world problem that you would ask it to tackle? Because the possibilities are just starting to unfold.